Welcome back to Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet. I'm Kristie.
And I'm Josh. We've got some more great Reddit stories for you today, so let's jump into the first one.
Am I the asshole for not putting up my daughter-in-law's painting in our new home and telling her that I'm not a fan of her art?
I guess you don't have to put up a painting you don't like in your own house. It does sound a little mean to tell somebody that you don't like their art, though.
My daughter-in-law has been married to my son for a few years, and she has a side gig of making art. She has a habit of giving paintings to friends and family as gifts. I think most people like them, but for me, I am not a huge fan of her art style. I am much more a nature person than someone that wants scenes with people. Also, when she paints people, they are stylized. My husband and I bought a house and we have fully moved in. My daughter-in-law gave me a painting of someone sitting at the beach because she knows we like the beach. I don't like it. The woman in the painting looks off. Her legs are too long and she is too curvy. I know it's her style of painting, but I just don't like it.
Sorry, just from the woman having too long legs and kind of curvy, are they like hypersexualized pictures? I want to know. I want to know what stylized means.
I'm thinking of like these were very popular around 2015, and you could find just mass-produced prints in like Marshalls and TJ Maxx and Hobby Lobby. It's usually of a woman with a teeny tiny waist, voluptuous hips, very long legs, and then like a hat that's usually hiding their face. It's kind of like almost cartoony stylized almost, but like classy cartoony. But like not anything I'd want to put in my house.
I think I know the style you're talking about, and that is, I gotta be honest with you, when somebody tells me that their, relative does art, my mind immediately flashes to them drawing like anime characters.
I don't think that's what this is.
I might prefer that.
I think I would too. At the time I got the gift, I thanked her for it, and I thought that would be the end of it. I put the painting in the garage and kind of forgot about it. I bought an ocean painting for the living room.
Okay, so she took the painting, shoved it in the garage, and then bought somebody else's art of the same thing, essentially?
Yes, but this one didn't have any people in it. We don't like people, we just want nature. Especially not stylized people. They don't even look realistic.
I mean, once again, I guess it's your house. I can already see how it's gonna bite you in the butt, though.
My daughter-in-law visited the other day because she wanted to pick up some of our old 4th of July decorations. Our house is smaller now, so we are purging decorations. We were in the garage, and she saw her painting there. She was surprised and asked why it wasn't in the house. I told her I didn't have a spot to put it. She kept pressing and mentioned I got a new painting for my living room. I told her again that I don't have a spot for it. She then picked up the painting and said she could help find a spot.
It definitely was not hanging in the garage, right?
It was just leaning against the wall, I'm sure.
Yeah, like at best, it was leaning against the wall, collecting, garage dirt. Picking it up and saying, well, I'll just hang it in your house myself, though, is a bold move.
I told her no. She asked why not, and I decided to be honest. I told her I am not a fan of the artwork. She got quiet after that, and I gave her the decorations. I got a call from my son, and he was mad. He told me I needed to apologize and hang up her painting. That his wife has been crying, and it took her hours to make. I told him I'm not hanging it up, and that resulted in an argument. I need some opinions. I feel like it's my house. I can decorate it how I want. Am I the asshole?
I'm kind of leaning towards everyone sucks here. How good of a painting was it if it only took her hours? Maybe that's just how the son worded it. How many hours do you think a hangable painting should take?
I don't know. I feel like it definitely depends on the style. There are some styles that take longer than other, like more realistic looking paintings definitely take longer, I think, than some other kinds of styles. And it seems like OP really likes the realistic looking ones and not the stylized ones.
I think I'm including like drying time in my total time it takes to make something.
Oh, don't include that.
Well, but like I want to dry it, do the background, and then walk away for a few hours while it dries, and then I can come and paint the character over the top, I feel, sorry, I just got snagged on the sun being like, it took her hours, and I might have said it took her days because, yeah, she painted the water and the beach, and then she had to walk away, and it took, she worked on this for a week, I assume. I just hope she didn't hammer it out in an afternoon. But, having said that, it's wild to me to gift a painting to someone if you're not certain that they're going to like it. Just because there is such a high chance that you're going to get hurt.
Right? I feel like art is such a particular and personal preference that you have. Like, people are so particular about what kind of art they hang in their home, right? And like, not everybody likes the same kinds of things.
Yeah, which is why you almost have to have that person walk into your house and be like, I love that painting. And then you have an opportunity to be like, do you want me to paint you one for your birthday? I know it ruins the surprise, but some things shouldn't be a surprise.
Especially when you're putting that many hours into it. Like, a painting does take a long time. Presumably. But
I also feel like OP didn't handle the situation very gracefully. I don't know. If she'd tucked it into a closet, is there something insulting about putting it in the garage, isn't there?
Yes, but I also feel like, as an artist, not painting, but like other styles of art, if I gifted something to someone and then like saw it in their garage, I'd be like, oh, they didn't like it. Oh, well.
Yes. I don't think I would have gotten as upset as she did, because I
don't think I'd even ask them about it, like, because then that puts them on the spot and having to lie and be like, oh no, I really like it, it's just out here because I hate it. You know, I don't know, like, how do you gracefully lie your way out of this? But also, like, if they're tucking it away somewhere, you know they don't like it. Why are you confronting them about it and making them feel awkward about it? It didn't work out. Yeah, she is being a little thin-skinned. I don't know. I might be starting to lean towards not the asshole now that we've talked it out a little. But yes, also daughter-in-law is very thin-skinned, and I feel like as an artist, you can't be. People are going to have opinions about art, and some of them are not going to be good. You got to have a thick skin to, survive in that business.
Oh, critics are brutal. And it sounds like one of your brutal critics is your mother-in-law. I feel like my Everyone Sucks here was based entirely on her kind of shoving it in the garage and not saying anything, but she did just kind of politely accept a gift and then store it where she could. So, no, I'm going to change it to not the asshole.
Reddit kind of agrees. Top comment, NTA, when you give someone a gift of artwork that you made yourself and you don't see your artwork hanging up, that should be enough of a clue. There isn't really a polite way to tell someone, like, thank you for giving this to me, but I'd really rather you keep it because there's no way I'm ever going to hang it up in my house.
Right, that's just not how we're all taught to accept a bad gift, right? You smile, say thank you, and then you tuck it.
Commenter continues, she found it in the garage, you told her you did not have a place for it, and that should have been sufficient for her to get the hint. Continuing to insist that she herself was going to help you find a place to hang it was rude and invasive. Why are we not okay with mother-in-laws telling daughter-in-laws how to decorate, but suddenly we're okay with the daughter-in-law deciding how the mother-in-law should decorate? If this person is old enough to be married, she is old enough to have the maturity to recognize that not everyone on the planet is going to enjoy her work. Mother-in-law wasn't rude in the least, but as soon as daughter-in-law tried overruling her and insisting on finding a place to hang it, daughter-in-law absolutely crossed a line.
Once you find it in the garage, do you then try to take the painting back, do you think? I don't think I would ever be like, well, let me hang it in your house for you. I might try to get the painting back if I really liked it.
Yeah, but also, how do you politely do that?
A midnight caper, maybe. Is mother-in-law going to even know it went missing?
I don't know. I do feel like you could be like, hey, I noticed you haven't hung this painting, and do you just maybe not have a spot for it? Is there something I could change in it to make it more your style? I don't know. What do you do?
Change everything. You could change everything to make it more my style.
I feel like if she just hadn't put that person in the painting, mother-in-law would have been like, oh, a nice beach scene. Sure, I'll hang this.
Maybe. It depends on how cartoony the rest of her style is. Do we get a better description of what the person looked like?
OP does have a little edit to their story to tell us more about the painting and why there's no room in the house for it. The painting is 24 by 36 inches. It's big. We downgraded our house. There is no place to put it that I won't see it every day. We have one bathroom, two bedrooms, one that is my office, the living room, and kitchen. The basement is my husband's workshop, and he doesn't like it either. I seriously dislike how she does portions. I don't like that the waists are tiny and the butts and boobs are huge. Not my type of artwork. I don't like it. I don't wish to decorate my home with art I don't like and have to see every day. If I gave her artwork, I wouldn't expect her to hang it up in her house if she didn't like it, even if I spent months on it. because it's not my home.
So it's like a full figure-8 hourglass.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I still think OP isn't the asshole here, but I do think OP words things very harshly.
She does seem blunt.
Yes, I think that's what caught me up front. She is not mincing any words.
No, I do not like this painting.
I do not like the art style. I do not like the curvy woman. I do not want this in my house.
Yeah, because Redditors were like, can't you just like hang it up in a bathroom or a spare bedroom where you never see it? And she's like, there is nowhere in my house I will never see it. It's a small house.
My husband doesn't like it. I don't like it.
The dog doesn't like it. Nobody likes it.
Get the thing in the garage.
Another comment. NTA. As an artist myself, I have occasionally given pieces of art as gifts, but only things I'm pretty confident they want. Like a portrait of their dog. Even then, if it wasn't hanging in the house, I would never dream of asking why.
Yeah, just because of how much psychological damage you're risking when you ask that question.
Someone else commented, OP's description of the figure in the painting sounds like it's anime-style artwork. She mentions large boobs and butt, extremely tiny waist, and excessively long limbs. If someone I love dearly gave me a painting of Jessica Rabbit in a bikini for my living room, I still couldn't do it. Hopefully that doesn't happen. It hasn't so far. And OP replied, Jessica Rabbit, that is a perfect example of how she paints people.
I gotta say, maybe I'm just not picky about the art that goes up in the house, but I know it's a vague description, but if somebody gave you a painting that had Jessica Rabbit, like, just hanging out in a scene, would you put that up?
No.
No?
No.
I don't know. She's fun.
I have never actually seen that movie, so...
Oh. I was like, what if she's hanging out with her husband?
I wasn't allowed to watch that. Jessica Rabbit was too scandalous.
Is it because she's too sexy, or just because you don't know the character?
It's just because I don't know her. But like Princess Leia in a bikini, I'm a Star Wars fan. I might be okay hanging that up.
If it's tasteful.
It's tasteful. But also just random person in a bikini. I don't want that in my house. I don't need a random woman in a bikini in a painting in my house. I just not something I really want to stare at all the time.
I guess. I mean, we don't really have any beach art in the house, so it wouldn't really match the theme of any of our rooms.
I don't know if the beach part is the problem. It's the voluptuously curvaceous lady in a bikini that is the problem, Josh.
I mean, I guess I would just view it as background, but, to each their own.
But I think if OP doesn't like it, she absolutely should not have to hang it up in her house.
Am I the asshole for initially asking someone in my cycling group to leave due to inappropriate gear?
Inappropriate how? Like scandalous inappropriate or safety inappropriate? But either way, I feel like maybe not the asshole. That seems like a liability issue, maybe?
I, 24 male, organize group cycling rides pretty regularly. They're technically open to the public because of sponsor requirements, usually restaurants we stop at along the way. But in reality, they're mostly filled with my friends. I still have to advertise them, though. The last ride was a longer one, about 3 hours each way, and a fairly fast pace. Out of 5 total spots, 4 were taken by people I know, and 1 ended up going to someone from the public, Courtney. When we met at the start point, I noticed right away that Courtney wasn't dressed like a typical cyclist. She had a proper road bike, helmet, lights, all that, but she was wearing a long skirt and sandals that were not clipless instead of cycling gear. Everyone else was in standard Lycra kits. She actually had the most expensive bike out of all of us, so clearly she knew better.
I'm sorry, what? This is a cycling club? A what?
It's a group cycling ride that OP organizes that's, like, publicly available.
Okay. I do feel like if you're like doing like an organized bike ride for like cyclists that are serious about cycling, like this is a training program, you can't show up wearing skirts and a sandal. First of all, you should never ride your bike in sandals. That's dangerous. You're going to lose your toes.
Sorry, it's not like a training thing. It's like a cycling outing. Like they stop at restaurants.
Okay. I can't decide if this is like serious cyclers or just like, hey, we're going on a bike ride around the town. Everyone else is wearing Lycra, so I'm assuming they're all a bit more serious about this cycling thing.
I was honestly concerned about safety. A long skirt near a bike chain just sounds like a bad situation waiting to happen, especially on a fast-paced ride where we wouldn't be stopping constantly. I didn't want to be responsible if something went wrong, so I told her she couldn't participate and would have to leave. That didn't go over well. One of my friends, Emily, immediately said if Courtney couldn't ride with us, she wouldn't either. She left and said she'd do the same route independently with Courtney. Since it's all public roads, there was nothing I could do about that. The awkward part came later when I realized we'd all be stopping at the same sponsor restaurants. It would have looked weird if Courtney was just there, but not part of the group, or if she had to pay separately while everyone else was covered. So I ended up just registering her anyway and letting her ride with us after all. After the ride, Emily told me I was an asshole for how I handled things. I feel like she kind of forced my hand, though. If she hadn't walked off with Courtney, I would have stuck to my decision. I also think she might be biased because they're both women, and usually Emily is the only one in the group. The rest of my friends think I was being reasonable. For what it's worth, the event page did say weather-appropriate cycling clothing, but it didn't specifically say no skirts.
I'm just having a hard time with this because this is a serious sponsored event. There's sponsors and they're all in cycling gear, but it's also not serious because they're just biking around and stopping at restaurants. I don't understand what kind of outing this is. Is OP in trouble liability wise? Like, is he going to get sued if she gets hurt on this bike ride? Are the sponsors going to get sued if she gets hurt on this bike ride? Because I feel like that has like a very, very important bearing on the story.
Okay, I think you're thinking that this is a different type of event. It's not like a race. It's like a bar crawl with like 3 hours of biking in one direction. They're stopping at restaurants. It sounds like the fee to join the 6-person group covers like food and beverages. So I don't think it's as serious as you think it is.
But still, I feel like, safety is an important issue here, and it is not safe to bike in a long skirt and sandals. So I feel like he is kind of like in the right, being like, hey, you can't join us if you're not wearing the appropriate gear because safety wise, it's a liability. Can he get sued? But if he can't get sued for this and the sponsors can't get sued for it or anything, then that's on her. And whatever she decides to wear is fine because it's her fault and she can't sue anyone. I feel like this entirely comes down to who is it liable if she gets injured during this ride. Is it because it's a sponsored event?
The top comment actually kind of addresses your question.
Okay.
Top comment. So you've gotten restaurants to comp you and your friends' food over the guise that you're open to the public while trying to keep the public from joining. You're the asshole for a few reasons. OP replied, partially fair, but the question is not about that. And I do organize other rides that have more people from the public, and it takes time and effort to organize these events. Somebody replied, would you face legal liability if she got hurt? If not, you're the asshole. You can disagree with what she wears, and while it is ridiculous for any serious rider, that's up to her and not your business. If you bear no legal responsibility for her while on the ride, stay in your lane and stop policing her apparel choices.
That is what I'm trying to say. That last comment, that is what I agree with that completely.
OP replied, I am no expert on that, but she could hit another person in the group. To which someone replied, sorry, this is a whole chain.
Okay.
Are your sponsors aware that you, an organizer of many rides, are apparently not doing waivers or carrying insurance and have never looked into what your liabilities might be?
Yeah, that seems irresponsible. That was my first thought, is like, what are your liabilities? But I also feel like that's maybe something the sponsors should have checked into, too.
I mean, to a certain extent, you should check to make sure that the organizer is doing the organization right.
Right, like, are they legit? Are they really organizing things? Or are they, it's like this guy, it sounds like, just taking advantage of the system to get free food?
I don't even think it's free food. From the description, it sounded to me like OP called up some restaurants and said, hey, I'm going to be organizing bike rides in the area. Can you cut me like a 10% discount on the tab? And we're going to order this set amount of money, on the thing. And then he puts it on the bike ride fee.
Okay.
That's how I'm interpreting it, at least.
That kind of makes sense.
Because then it's more like an advertising budget for the restaurants. Another comment, you're the asshole. You could have taken Courtney aside and discussed your concerns. But instead you went 0 to 60 by trying to kick her off the ride. Also, I think the women are biased because all men agree with me is not a good look. A lot of people don't like that part.
Yeah, like men policing what women wear always is a touchy subject. But I think in this case, it comes down to, is OP really concerned about safety? Or is he upset that some stranger has horned in on his group ride with his friends?
OP replied, not biased in that sense. Emily was glad enough to have another woman join that she might overlook the concerns. Another comment starts by quoting OP, I was honestly concerned about safety. Info, would you be held responsible if there was an incident? Or were you just worried about something happening and slowing down your ride? OP replied, both. If something serious happened, I would have to wait for an ambulance, etc. In a group ride, if she fell, it could hit another rider that I could be liable or at least have to deal with an extra logistics, etc. Somebody replied, Courtney aside, it kind of seems like if you aren't willing to wait for an ambulance or deal with extra logistics, then you probably aren't the best person to be a group ride organizer.
That is a very good point.
And I gotta say, I'm leaning more towards you're the asshole personally, just because there's nothing in his statements that implies that this is like a serious, hardcore group and she has to dress a certain way. He just said weather appropriate. I don't know. To a certain extent, you have to let people take their own lives into their own hands when they ride a bike.
Yeah, like, I think the most I might have done has been like, hey, it's really could be dangerous riding in a long skirt because it could get stuck in the chain. And also wearing sandals is not a good idea. If you fall off your bike, you're going to lose your toes or whatever, you know.
He didn't warn her. He tried to boot her.
Yeah, I feel like he needed to give her a warning and be like, next time, dress appropriately, please.
And then his friend decided that she was just going to do the ride with her friend. And so he backtracked. So everything he said, it was not a hill that he was willing to stand on at all. He's just like, well, it would be awkward if they also turned up at the restaurant, so I guess I'll allow her. So he can't have been that worried about liability.
Yeah, it feels like OP is more worried about inconvenience and awkwardness than anything else. Like, you can't come on this bike ride because you might get hurt and we'll have to wait for an ambulance and that's inconvenient. But also, it's super inconvenient if we all show up at the restaurant at the same time but aren't together. That's awkward. You know, he's just taking the easy route out all the time, it seems like.
Which is Reddit's opinion, pretty much. They're saying you're the asshole because it sounds like you're policing the way somebody else is dressed for an event without actually having the right motive behind it.
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode so far, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button.
It really helps us out, and it lets us know we should keep making fun videos like this for all of you.
Am I the asshole for not removing my doormat because it scares my neighbor's kid?
What is scary about the doormat?
My wife and I, both 32, have been living at our apartment for 4 years and are both huge horror fans. We have had an Art the Clown doormat from Spirit Halloween for 2 years now. It's not a Halloween decoration, it's just what we like.
Who is Art?
Oh, it's this...
I've seen that before. Is that from something?
It's the creepy clown from the Terrifier franchise of movies.
Okay, I've never heard of those, but I did recognize the clown when you showed it to me.
Last month, around the beginning of April, we had some neighbors move in across from us. They have 2 kids. One is a baby and one is maybe 3 or 4 years old. The first time we met them was a couple days after they moved in. We were all bringing in groceries and I introduced myself, shook hands, all of that. The dad says, "Still Halloween, huh?" And I just laughed it off. Since then, we've come home 4 times to them flipping our doormat, and we know it's them because we have a Ring camera. We were fine letting them do it and just flipping it back until a couple of days ago when we caught them doing it in person. We asked what the issue was, and apparently their son is super afraid of it, even though the kid was right there and was acting completely fine. Not crying, not anything.
So, they couldn't just knock on your door and be like, hey, I'm really sorry, but you're giving my kid nightmares with the mat. Can we please move it to like the inside of your apartment? You couldn't talk to them at all. You got to sneak over and flip it.
Yeah, just sneak over and passive aggressively flip it so that they know that you don't like it, but you don't have to talk to them.
Yeah, that's a very normal way to handle a problem.
The only one that seemed agitated at all was the mom, who swore at us and rolled her eyes and was just generally unpleasant. Haven't interacted with her much before or since. My wife waited until they were inside and flipped it back over.
It's just, you're not going to get your neighbors to redecorate the front of their apartment by being mean to them and swearing. That's how you end up with like a life-size art, like in the window.
Now that would be extra creepy. And I'm questioning whether the doormat is actually scaring the kid, but a life-size Art the Clown would scare the kid.
Probably scare the adults too.
It would scare me. I hate clowns. They're very creepy. Even the not creepy ones are creepy. I stayed out with the dad and talked it over, and he seemed fine. He said he understood it was our space, and he'd talk it over with his wife, and that his son was old enough to understand it couldn't hurt him. This morning, we walked out and saw our doormat wasn't even flipped over. It was thrown outside of the stairwell. We live on the 4th floor, so it was a very deliberate thing. My wife wants to report it to management, but I'm just about tired enough of this. I kind of want to throw it away, but I also want to keep it. I don't know. I'm just confused, y'all. Am I the asshole?
I guess you're not the asshole because they approached the situation like such big assholes. Well, it sounds like just wife approached the situation like a big asshole. Husband said he'd talk it over with his wife and that his kid, was old enough to learn that a doormat can't hurt him.
I don't think that talk with his wife worked because the next day the doormat was in the stairwell.
You're correct. I don't think it worked very well at all. Because, I don't know, if they had just knocked on the door and been like, hey, I'm sorry. You know how kids are, though, and it's terrifying them. It's causing causing problems with their sleep schedule or something. I would call you the asshole if you didn't just be like, hey, I get it, and maybe move it to the inside of your door. Just not in a public space, a scary face. I get that it's your spot. But if you have a public-facing, frightening thing that everyone sees when they walk by and you're scaring children, you might be the asshole if they gave you a calmer complaint.
Yeah, maybe. I might also be on your side if you were still like, no, this is my property. Please leave it alone. This is on my property. But it would be the nice thing to do to remove the mat if they politely asked you.
Yeah, because then I would have to be a little conflicted and been like, well, it is your space. But also, are you leaving it there to bully your neighbor's child? But in this case, they're just trying to police what you do with your own space. So you're not the asshole here.
One of the top comments, NTA, I got $5 that says the kid doesn't care. Mom just likes a certain aesthetic in her place. I'd be Halloweening my door up and reporting her butt. I'd also politely tell her that you've got her on video and the next time she touches your stuff, you're going to the police. I've had this neighbor and OMG, the horror stories I could tell. Nip it in the bud now, or she'll try to have you dancing to her tune for as long as you have to live next to her. Do not make my mistake.
That's another good point. Once you let them start dictating what you do with your own space, when their method is to pick up your doormat and huck it out a window, it sounds like. Don't give in at that point. They're going to keep being assholes.
Someone else says, report it so there's a trail of them destroying your property. They will continue to escalate. And someone replied, I think it's more of she will continue to escalate, as I don't think the guy has anything to do with it, given their different reactions.
It really sounds like it, either that or he's just a masterful actor. Sorry, when OP said that they caught them on the camera, they just said they, right?
Yes, they did not say who was doing it, the wife or the husband.
So there is potential there that both of them are doing the flipping and husband just didn't take it quite as far as throwing it down the stairwell.
Someone else thinks everyone sucks here. Listen, you're going to get a lot of comments saying it's your house, your life. And while that is technically true, the nice thing to do here would be to flip the doormat or move it elsewhere. You don't know anything about this kid other than the few times you've seen him. He might be silent around you, but waking his parents up because he's terrified the clown is under his bed. You don't know, and your immediate assumption that your neighbors are lying doesn't necessarily mean that they are. If they're taking such extreme time and effort from their lives to keep flipping it over without trying to harass you over it, it's probably not a power play. I disagree with that. I feel a little bit like it's a power play.
See, I kind of agree with it, except for the fact that they never once just knocked on the door and talked to you. If they had just done that, I think I would be approaching this story completely differently. But no, I'm leaning towards power play or just trying to get you to have normal decorations in your house.
The comment continues. In the end, is this a battle worth fighting? Is making enemies of your neighbors over a really fixable 2-second solution problem worth it? Is this the hill y'all want to die on? Can this mat not be temporarily moved to the garage door or back door or the inside of the doorway? You aren't technically in the wrong, I guess, but man, you aren't going to open the door to these neighbors doing you any favors in the future, that's for sure. Everyone sucks here.
Oh, see, they lost me in the second half there. Is this the hill you want to die on is something you're supposed to say to the aggressor. not the person being openly attacked. You should never tell somebody who's just got, like, bullied, is this the hill you want to die on? Just let them bully you.
Yeah, you don't need to stand up for yourself. Just let it go.
Yeah, it's fine. They stole your car. Do you really want to die on this hill? They're just throwing your crap down a stairwell. All of those phrases should have been directed to the neighbors who are burning that bridge. All you're doing is not putting it out.
This is less about the mat and more about the way these people have chosen to deal with the issue. They could have written a note explaining the issue, or caught them while they were coming in, or even knocked on the door like adults who know how to communicate. Instead, they've been messing with their property and now blatantly disrespecting their property. They don't deserve much grace in this situation, and your solution just lets the nasty-ass wife know if she throws a big enough tantrum, she'll get her way.
Yeah, because, if the entire story was just, we have an Art the Clown doormat. End of story. I might have said you're the asshole because I don't like scary doormats personally.
I don't like scary clowns personally.
Yeah, I was like, that's just not a very welcoming doormat. You're kind of the asshole. I mean, you can do what you want on your space, but I'm going to say you're an asshole. In this case, though, no. The other people are being openly aggressive. I think I keep saying that. But they are.
And then OP does say in a comment, we've pretty much decided to not report it. We're debating on keeping it outside, but I just know she's going to have a fit when she sees our Halloween decorations. We go all out.
God, I bet all out for them just means something completely different than all out for us. If a scary clown doormat is just normal decor.
Yeah, all out for Halloween has to be, honestly, probably traumatizing with the amount of scary stuff there is. That poor little kid is not going to be able to walk past that guy's door for the whole month of October.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was just no other way to get in or out of his house than to walk past that door.
But yeah, that lady is really going to throw a fit in October.
Am I the butt for telling my friend I don't want to hear spoilers, even if she doesn't count them as spoilers?
Ooh, not the butt face. Like, some people are like, it's not a spoiler. It is definitely a spoiler. Like, spoilers is a matter of opinion, I feel like, and I don't want to know anything about this going into it. If you tell me anything, it's a spoiler.
I have a friend, Mia, who loves talking about shows and movies. I do too, so usually it's fun. The problem is that she has a very strange idea of what counts as a spoiler. To her, a spoiler is only something like, this character dies, or they were the killer. Everything else is apparently fair game. She'll say things like, don't worry, I won't spoil it, and then immediately tell me that the ending is sad, or that a character has a huge betrayal arc, or that episode 6 is where everything changes.
Yeah, those are spoilers.
That is still a spoiler to me. Last week, I told her I had just started a show she loves, and was only on episode 2. She got excited and said, oh my god, just wait until you find out why the brother is acting weird. I asked her to stop, and she said that wasn't a spoiler because she didn't say what the reason was.
But I hadn't even noticed he was acting weird yet, and now I'm going to be on the lookout for him acting weird, and it's going to change the way I view the show. It's interfering with my enjoyment of and the process of watching it.
I told her that hinting at future reveals still changes how I watch something, and I don't want any comments beyond whether she liked it or not. She got annoyed and said I was being impossible to talk to because anything can be a spoiler if you're sensitive enough.
And I'd be like, yes, everything is a spoiler. Do not tell me anything.
Now she says she just won't recommend anything to me anymore because I take the fun out of it. I don't think I was rude. I just want to experience a story without her dropping little warning signs all over it first. Am I the butt face?
Not the butt face. And like, every time she'd be like, just you wait until I'd be like, la 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 la, I can't hear you, la la la, don't spoil it.
It does sound like Mia is the type of friend that you should just only talk to about media that you have finished watching.
Yes, you should never mention that you started this show. You need to come in and be like, I just finished watching this show. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, because she has just such a terrible track record.
The worst. You should just know. Don't talk about media you haven't finished yet with her.
Yeah, if she recommends a show to you, just be like, yeah, I'll get around to that sometime, and never tell her a thing until you have fully finished it. Because I have to assume OP still wants to stay friends with Mia. Because the other solution is just to cut Mia off.
Yeah, I was like, could you guys just not talk about TV shows or movies or something? But then I'm like, but that seems to be what they like bond over, you know? So I don't know if that'd work out.
Top comment. Not the asshole. Her fun comes from ruining it for others. Let the garbage take itself out.
Yeah, like what is she getting out of by being like telling you ahead of time that like, oh, just wait until you see why the brother's acting so weird? What does she get out of that? Why can't she just be like, oh my gosh, it gets so good later on. You're going to be so excited.
I think she's just so excited that OP is watching her favorite show that she cannot contain it, right? She's like, I want to talk about this part, but you're not at that part yet. I need to hint at that part. So that way, next time we talk, you're going to come back and be like, oh my God, that part.
Okay, yeah, I can kind of get that. But like, can you just be a lot more vague about everything?
Another comment. I don't think she's malicious, but she sounds like one of those people who gets more excitement from reacting alongside someone than from letting them experience it blind. Still annoying, though.
Yes, if you watched a show with her, like her favorite show with her, she'd be watching you the whole time to see your reaction. And that's like, I don't want people observing me watching the show. I feel like that's really awkward.
That's a spoiler in its own way because they're going to turn towards you and be like,
and you're like, oh no, something good is coming up. Something shocking. I don't know. Also, I don't know if apparently everybody does not do this when they watch shows. But when I'm watching shows, I cannot help it. My facial expression mimics whatever the person on the TV is doing. So I look really, really weird while I'm watching TV.
Most of the time that is true. Except for just one time when I knew a big twist was coming up. And I pulled out my phone and subtly tried to record you when the big twist, it's like the big twist of this show. And everybody was talking about it online.
And I'm just like.
And you were just sitting there. The whole time.
I'm so sorry I did not react according to your plans.
A man was being murdered on the screen. And you're just.
I am deadened to violence these days.
And I'm like, did you not like it? And you're like, no, it was good. It's like your face was off for the whole show.
Maybe I was really tired. Sometimes when I'm tired, I just resting bitch face. You know, I can't help it. But a lot of times you walk into the room and I'm watching something on my phone and you're like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, it's a sad part of the show.
Which is why I thought I'd get a good reaction video. Another comment. Not the asshole. I had to have the same conversation with my friend. The difference is when I told my friend, she said, oh, sorry, I won't say anything anymore. It's weird that your friend wants to keep doing it after you asked her not to.
But she doesn't see the harm in it. It's not real spoilers. You're being such a baby.
Because I do have to say, personally, I'm pretty okay with most spoilers before I watch a media. It just changes how I watch it, and that isn't a bad thing for me. But I know some people absolutely hate them.
Yeah, I do not want any spoilers.
But, like, if I find out on the internet, you know, like, this guy's the killer, sometimes that just changes how I watch the show, because then I'm watching it and being like, how are they going to catch him? And then a couple times, it turns out that I misunderstood what they said because I had no context for this show, and then the twist is crazy.
Oh, yeah, when you misunderstand a spoiler and you're like, it's already spoiled, and then I was so wrong. I totally misunderstood the spoiler that I thought was spoiled the show for me. It was not spoiled.
Yeah, that's such a twist because I was so confident because somebody on TikTok told me so.
But I mean, I think your friend is the asshole for not being willing to not spoil things for you when you've asked politely, repeatedly.
Yeah, if you know that your friend is super sensitive to spoilers, you probably shouldn't spoil things, even if you don't consider it a spoiler, just because it sounds like you really enjoy talking to them about media.
Am I the asshole for playing a role exposing my in-laws' terrible financial planning?
I mean, right off the bat, it sounds like, yeah, why are you airing your in-laws' dirty laundry?
My wife and I have been planning to build a long-term home for our growing family. We make a good living, but are fairly conservative when it comes to spending capital, and therefore have tried our best to stick to a budget that gets us what we want, but also doesn't leave us poor and unable to save and enjoy our hobbies. My wife is very close to one side of her grandparents and has often talked about the plans we're drawing up with our builder. Grandfather was a contractor and owned a decent-sized commercial construction business, so it made sense to run our plans by them. Rate hikes and other factors led us to deciding to downgrade a substantial portion of the house in our plans, which said grandfather noticed when we sent him the final layout we were preparing to commit to. To our surprise, we've never asked for any money from any family member in the past. My wife informed me that they wanted to formally pass along some portion of what they believed and planned would be our inheritance to fund our house and allow us to commit to the full plans, an extremely generous amount of money.
I mean, that's really nice of the grandparents, honestly. Like, if you are very confident that this amount of money is going to be passed down to your grandkids, sure, why not give it to them while you're still alive to see them enjoy it?
Informing my wife's parents of the developments, things got strange. Rather than seem happy for us, they seemed somewhat distant. The following day, my wife received a text from her mom that she urgently needed to talk one-on-one about our house situation. My wife's mother informed her that her and her father had not planned well for their retirement. Keeping up with the Joneses, going on vacation, and other things meant that they hadn't saved much in their 401k and were in a fair amount of debt. They planned that their inheritance would be the backbone of their retirement and a way to pay off the debts.
Okay, but this isn't their inheritance.
They, in the past, informed them in such discussions that they would redistribute money to their kids, my wife, themselves in the future.
Oh, so parents thought that they were going to have full control over the estate.
Yes, parents thought they were getting all of Grandpa's money.
And then they could decide how much to give to the kids based off of their needs instead of what Grandpa and Grandma want. That's not great. Also, if you're gonna write me a sob letter, don't put in your sob letter that you spent your money on vacations.
But I mean, this is her daughter. She knows what they spent their money on, right? She's seen them going on vacations for years and keeping up with the Joneses.
And that's true. I am sure daughter knows where the money went. It's just, I'm going to lose a lot of mercy if you're like, we needed house improvements and we needed to go on vacation.
We just had to go to Hawaii. We really deserved it, okay?
You don't deserve to go to Hawaii or have a nice house.
The ask from her mom was that we politely decline the offer and tell her grandparents that we'd just save for the addition sometime down the line. Later, my in-laws would try and help pass something along if they could.
How quickly do your in-laws need this money? Because it sounds like they're really banking on mom and dad to die. Like sooner rather than later.
Right? I feel like counting on an inheritance from your elderly parents to get you through the rest of your life and through retirement is not a solid financial plan.
No, I would be very happy if we just inherited nothing.
Right? Like the parents leave enough to cover their funeral and all the legal expenses that come with someone dying, right?
Right. I want them to enjoy their money. Like, I'm young enough that I can have a job.
Yes.
Mom and dad are not, honestly. And I'd be very happy if they just enjoyed their cash, which is, what I consider a fairly healthy attitude towards your parents.
Right? Like I am counting on getting nothing from my parents, except, some of their personal items as mementos and stuff. But financially, I'm planning on getting nothing because I don't want to go into life with an expectation of I'm going to get a windfall of money when my parents die and that's how I'm going to survive and live. That just doesn't seem right.
It's not the best way to look at the people that raised you.
Later that week, meeting with her grandparents, they were upset when we refused the money. When my wife walked away with her grandma to look at something in the garage, her grandfather pried me for why we were pushing back, insisting that we would be receiving this money anyway in the future, and they would rather see the fruits of it while they were still alive.
Oh, so daughter gave in.
Daughter gave in.
Ooh, that's rough. And I fully agree with Grandpa's logic. I think that he seems like he knows what he's doing, and he says, I'm very comfortable in the fact that we don't need this money. Yeah, I would want to see my cute grandkids in a nice house.
Because it is easier to build their dream house now than down the road try and add an addition on when they finally get their inheritance.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be way more than just building it with the addition in the first place.
I cracked and at that point basically said that her parents preferred if they managed the money that was received later down the line. Not long after the visit, my wife got an extremely angry call from her mom, asking why we had told them they were the reason for us not accepting the money. My wife broke down. Never have heard her parents yell at anyone, let alone her. I admitted to the limited information I told her grandpa, and now for the last couple weeks, she's been extremely distant. Her parents haven't spoken to us in the same amount of time. Am I the asshole?
I don't think you're the asshole. I think you just told the truth when somebody asked. That doesn't make you the asshole. Like, why should you have to cover for them when they're doing shady things with this inherited money?
Plus, it sounds like Grandpa is going to leave this amount to his children and this amount to his grandchildren and, keep it all separate. It's not like it's a huge lump of money that he's going to be like, hey, somebody else in the family is in charge of distributing this. No, he's already planned out who's getting what and how much.
Well, he's planned it out, but did he write it up in any kind of legal sense? Because he could have just gone to his daughter and been like, you guys get 33%, your daughter gets 33%, and your other kid gets 33%. I'm assuming there's another kid. He could have just verbally told them, which is very easy to manipulate.
Yeah, that is a good point. Grandpa needs to get an official will written as quickly as possible. Because his kids are going to off him for his money because they're in debt.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that obviously parents are going to be the assholes if they're trying to spend money that's not theirs yet and might not be there. If an emergency happens, all that money could go away.
Top comment, NTA. Your wife needs to realize that if her grandparents don't give her this money with warm hands, she'll never see it. Her parents will blow through it when it comes to them and still ask for financial help from you in their old age. Someone replied, plus, I do believe your grandparents are aware of this, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is why they wanted to give you the money and see what is done with it. After all, it's their money and it doesn't belong to her parents.
I don't know, just based off of that call that daughter got after you told Grandma and Grandpa, I feel like maybe they weren't fully aware of it. Because it sounds like they got mad then and called up and yelled at their daughter.
NTA, her parents think they're going to receive all the money. The way the grandparents approach this indicates that they clearly had a different idea in mind. It isn't her parents' money. They don't get to dictate how their living parents, your wife's grandparents, get to spend their money now, while they're still alive and in sound mind to decide how they want to help their legacy, your wife.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like parents don't have any kids in the house anymore. They could downsize. If they're aware that they're overstretched, they could take steps to fix it.
Besides waiting for Grandpa to die.
Yeah, besides taking a morbid approach to money.
Someone else says, NTA, and you should accept the money. What her grandparents do with their money shouldn't be up to your wife's parents. And what you accept from the grandparents, again, should not have anything to do with the parents. Why are you guys running things by her parents that have nothing to do with them? And OP replied, her parents have been great besides this. They're excellent grandparents to our kids and have mostly treated us well. This is really the first time any conflict has occurred. Her parents had hid the financial side very well.
Yeah, I could kind of tell from the fact that daughter is so upset that they're not talking to her, that either they're a very close family and parents just didn't reveal this, or they're a very toxic family and parents just kind of have her on a short leash.
I mean, thankfully, it sounds like the former, like they're a very close family, but parents have just been hiding this giant secret.
They're just hiding the toxicity.
Yes. Wow, her parents are gems. They want to live beyond their means and then take their daughter's inheritance to pay for it. Not sure why your wife is being cold, but the only assholes here are her parents. NTA. Someone replied, wife isn't ready to see her parents for who they are yet. So she needs a different villain. That will be OP until she realizes. Yeah, it kind of sucks that the wife is being cold towards OP when all he did was tell the truth. And nobody told him, hey, this is hush hush. He was just kind of telling the truth.
Yeah, although it does sound like OP at least inferred that this is hush hush because he did use the words, I broke when Grandpa asked me.
Yeah, I mean, being in massive amounts of debt is not something people are proud of and usually want out there.
Yeah, usually you don't go around spreading other people's dirty laundry, but I don't know. I guess to their own parents, when your own mortgage situation was brought to light with these grandparents, yeah, that's probably a valid time to bring up the reason and just be honest.
But Reddit is pretty firmly not the asshole. It shouldn't be the parents' business what the grandparents do with their money while they're still alive. And it's pretty crappy to be waiting for your parents to die just so you can get out of financial debt.
Am I the asshole for not letting my roommate use my shower?
I think that depends entirely upon the reason your roommate wants to use your shower.
For background, I live in a 2-bedroom apartment. I am 22 female. My roommate is 26 male. I didn't want a male roommate, but my female roommate decided to sublease to him without my approval. Since it's only for 6 months, I didn't make a fuss about it. Our building had some plumbing issues, and his shower has been out of order since Monday. Everything else, sink, toilet, works fine. This morning, the landlord sent a plumber to look at it. The plumber said he needed to order some parts, and it would take 10 to 14 days to get it fixed.
Ooh, that is a long time to go without a shower.
My roommate has been filling up a bucket with water and using it to take a bath. But today he asked me if he can use my shower until his is fixed. I'm not comfortable with that, because I don't want him in my room when I'm not home, and if I am there, then I want my privacy. He's kind of awkward and not very friendly anyway, and hardly ever talks to me. So I told him that this isn't an option. He said okay, and then asked me again like an hour later. I can tell he's annoyed and judging me. Am I the asshole?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I would have offered as soon as his shower broke because I don't want to be living with no stinky man. But at the same time, like, if you think he's creepy, yeah, you don't want him in your personal space. Like, especially when you're not there, he might be like doing creepy things to your stuff.
Yeah, but if you thought it was creepy, I feel like you should have spoken up back during the start of the sublease.
Yeah, that's true. And it is really crappy that the original roommate just decided to sublease to some random guy without your approval.
Yeah, that's like the number one rule of roommates. Don't sublease to a strange person and leave your roommate on the hook with them.
Yeah, because they didn't agree to live with this strange rando.
And depending on how your lease works, you might just have veto power with your landlord. But it sounds like OP let that go. So he can't be like openly serial killer bad. I sure hope so, right?
Yeah, but he's a little creepy, but maybe he's just really awkward and he's really nice guy. You don't know.
I just say, if you're willing to live with him, you should probably let him use your damn shower because it's 2 weeks without a shower and he's using a bucket.
Yeah.
The poor man is using a bucket.
I was like, ooh, that is rough. Using a bucket to wash.
That's like caveman in the woods, who also happens to own a bucket. But still.
Like, the only time that's maybe acceptable is if you're camping alone with nobody else to smell you.
And OP just shut down every option. She's like, I don't want him in my room when I'm not home. That's fair.
Yes.
I don't want him in my room when I'm there because I want my privacy. That doesn't sound fair.
No, I do feel like she needs to bend a little bit and come to a compromise. I mean, it would be very nice if she did. She doesn't have to. But also, you're going to be living with this guy for 6 months. I don't want to make him antagonistic towards me.
I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I'm not sure if it is OP's right to shut him out of the bathroom, the only functional shower. It almost seems like a basic human right of living in that apartment.
Yeah. Does this guy have a gym membership? Can he shower at the gym? But also, that is still inconvenient.
Well, considering that his roommate just hates him to this extent, I think he would at least be very justified in calling up the landlord and saying, hey, no shower for 2 weeks means no rent, and I'm taking that rent money and getting a gym membership, right?
Yeah. Maybe talk to the landlord and see if you can come to an agreement. Is there a vacant apartment that you can go shower in? This is getting ridiculous, though. Just let the poor man use your shower.
Because I have worked as a property manager on some rentals.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the furnace go out during a Michigan winter. And you know what the owner of the property did? Immediately called the renter and said, hey, go stay in a hotel. I'm not charging your rent for those 2 days where the furnace guy comes out, and I will pay for the hotel. Because that's just... For one, I think you're liable as a landlord, and two, it's the right thing to do. You
cannot have residents living in your property without heat in the middle of winter.
Not in Michigan, no. And I guess she is not in charge of this man's living experience, but just the complete lack of mercy of somebody bathing themselves with a bucket of water.
And yeah, I feel like a shower is not as vital as a heat in the middle of the winter. But it's still pretty important.
It's important for him and it's important for you because you have to smell him.
I know. I don't want to. Get in my shower right now, please. You stink.
In 10 to 14 days, you are going to be very aware of how much this man has showered.
Which is not at all, apparently. Just sponge baths.
Top comment, you're the asshole. I can't imagine telling someone I live with to keep bathing out of a freaking bucket when I have a working shower they could use. Somebody replied, the fact that he went straight to bathing out of the bucket means he was too polite to ask her if he could use hers. When, in my opinion, she should have offered off the bat so he wouldn't have to feel awkward. But that's a personal thing. The fact that he's asking now likely means that he's had enough of the bucket thing.
I would have immediately offered, please use my shower. Just because, one, I'm living with this person, so I like to be nice and polite and stay on good terms with them. And I don't want to smell stinky man.
Yeah, because I've always been of the opinion that if you don't like living with a roommate, you should take steps to get out of that living situation. And it sounds like her lease allows subleasing.
Yeah, she could sublease this apartment to some other rando and then go get an apartment by herself.
But he's not bad enough for her to do that.
Yeah, she'd have to move all her stuff. Do you know how much work it is moving?
Yeah, it is a lot of work. It's just, I don't know. He either needs to figure out the situation with landlord or figure out the situation with you, but the bucket is not an option. Let's be honest, the bucket should never have been an option.
I mean, it's better than no shower at all, nothing, but someone should have figured out a way to get this man a real shower.
You're the asshole. Imagine how you would feel if the roles were reversed. Why not allow him to use it and wait it out in the common area? Which I think is fair. Would OP just be so mad at this man for existing that she wouldn't use his shower?
I don't know.
Apparently she's fine with bathing with a bucket.
No one should have to bathe with a bucket.
The bucket should never be an option.
Am I overreacting for refusing to grow up and clear out my collection after my fiance's parents called my room a red flag for future parenting?
What is OP? Some kind of nerd?
I, 24 female, have spent years and thousands of dollars curating my dream room. It's filled with my manga collection, plushies, and limited edition figurines. It's my sanctuary and where I do my creative work. My fiancé, 27 male, and I are planning to move into a larger house next month. Last weekend, his parents came over to help us start packing. When his mother saw my room, she went silent. Later that night, she told my fiancé, within my earshot, that my obsession with toys was a major red flag, and she's worried I'm too immature to handle real adult responsibilities or raise children one day.
I feel so personally attacked. As I'm currently surrounded by my, Pikachu figurine and things.
The big issue? My fiancé didn't defend me. In fact, he sat me down later and said his parents have a point. He told me that for us to move forward, I need to sell 80% of my collection because an adult home shouldn't look like a toy store.
Why the hell is he even dating you?
I'm just thinking, we got so many Pokemon and Patrick Star and Stitch figurines around. It looks like a toy store in here.
We bought most of this after we started dating.
I told him that if he's marrying me, he's marrying the person who loves this aesthetic. And I'm not gutting my personality to please his judgmental parents. He's now saying I'm choosing plastic over our future and that I'm being manic about it.
Seriously, why did he start dating you?
I've been crying for 2 days and I'm considering calling off the move entirely. Am I overreacting, or is he trying to erase who I am before we even get married?
You're not overreacting. I really want to know why he started dating you. This is such a big part of your personality. That you enjoy, manga and anime, and that's fine. You're allowed to enjoy things. It's not like you're just a complete disaster of a person, I would hope.
Well, she spent thousands of dollars on her collection, which she apparently had to spare, so she must be doing all right.
Yeah, thousands of dollars over how much time?
I don't know, she's only 24, so not that long.
Okay, but she could have been at this for 12 years then.
That is true. But anyways, this sounds like it's a huge part of who she is, and yeah, you can't make someone change to please you.
No, and usually you would try to change them earlier in the relationship than moving in together?
Yes, and then throwing this right before you move in together just because your parents are concerned is concerning in itself.
Like, how well do you think OP hid this obsession? Hobby. Let's call it a hobby. Obsession almost sounds bad. I don't think it's bad at all. It's just something you enjoy.
Well, she must have hid it very well from the parents. But I mean, the boyfriend was living with her. He had to know they're just moving into a bigger house, which means she has more space for her collection. So I don't know what the problem is.
Sorry, they're already living together?
Yes, last weekend his parents came over to help us start packing.
I missed the part where they were living together already. He definitely knows. So apparently this has just been bothering him for a while, that so much of their shared space is crammed full of nerdy stuff.
I mean, I don't know. He didn't even bring it up until his parents brought it up to him. I think he's just trying to please his parents.
It does kind of sound like maybe he is just going along with his parents' opinion on this. It's such a weird time to bring it up. And you should not have to change who you are or what you like just because your boyfriend's parents suddenly don't like it, and so now your boyfriend also doesn't like it. It's so weird to me.
Top comment, not overreacting. This is a core part of you, and I'd argue that being playful is a huge part of parenting. I'm a mom of 2. The budgeting that you had to do to be able to pay your bills and build this room speaks to your adult responsibilities. Men think it's fine to have collections of sports memorabilia and deer heads on the walls, but your own creative studio filled with things that make you happy is childish. It's such a double standard. But I wouldn't marry anyone who didn't let me be me in the full capacity.
Sorry, I just got caught up on the deer head part because my wife is totally the type to want to collect dead things. Not that you hunt or anything, but you did find a deer skull at an estate sale, and you totally bought that deer skull.
Skulls are cool, okay? I also bought a dead puffer fish at that estate sale. That was also very cool. And I have many, many dead bugs.
Yeah, for like 8 years of our relationship, I would buy you dead bugs from a farm for all holidays.
I like bugs. They're pretty.
That just goes to show that your partner's going to have some weird hobbies, and you don't have to be super into them, but you should be supportive of your partner having hobbies.
And buy them dead bugs.
Yeah, and buy your partner dead bugs for their birthday. I know a website that sells just the biggest ants in the world, dead and mounted.
But back to the comments. More red flags here than a used car lot. At least your so-called fiancé and his parents are showing their true colors before you can't back out. Cancel the moving vans, ditch the asshole, and tell his parents to go suck a lemon. Not overreacting.
Yeah, like, they must have been supportive of OP and their son having a relationship because they came over to help him move, right?
Yes.
So they got there, they took one look at this room, and they're like, oh wait, OP is a huge fucking weeb. I don't want this girl dating my son.
She's such a nerd. He's not asking you to grow up. He's asking you to shrink so his parents feel comfortable. That's not a partnership. That's a preview. Keep the plushies, lose the fiancé.
Yeah, but I feel like just for your own sanity, you need to talk to your partner and being like, hey, why now? I don't think I could survive if I did not ask, hey, why now after we actively lived together?
It's because of his parents. They have a point, you know.
Yeah, it would just drive me mad if that was the whole explanation, that your parents can just dictate your opinion to that extreme. And that's, yeah, get out now if that's the situation.
Not overreacting. You're not choosing plastic over your relationship. It's not just about plastic. It's about having a partner who supports you. They don't need to share your interests to be able to know they are important to you. This reads more like he's more interested in mother to my eventual children than you as a person. He agrees and backs his judgmental parents over his bride-to-be. That is the red flag here. You and he are not compatible and should break up before moving in or marrying or having kids.
Yeah, I don't know what I would have done if when we moved into this house, you're like, hey, you know those N64 games that you've been holding on to since you were like 11?
Get rid of them.
Yeah, sell 80% of them. Those are my babies.
I am not selling them, right? That's
yeah,
what you...
I don't want to sell them. I think I also would have cried
What if you told me to get rid of 80% of my books? I'm not getting rid of 800 books, Josh.
No, that's so much of my hobby. That's such a big percentage of my hobby.
I can't pick just 200 that I want to keep. I want them all. I need them all.
Yeah, and when we moved in here, you bought extra shelves so that you could store more books because now we have more room.
Yes, this is bigger than our apartment was. There's more room for books. A whole room just for books. It's wonderful.
So, yeah, I can't call OP overreacting for this.
In the words of Marie Kondo, what sparks joy? It ain't him.
Not anymore. He's actively taking away your joy.
Okay, so you are familiar with the Marie Kondo method, right?
Yes.
Are you familiar with the poop method?
No.
Because I have heard of this before, and apparently other people have too. Someone replied to that comment, I prefer the poop method to cleaning. If this thing had poop on it, would you clean the poop off so you can keep it, or would you throw the thing away? I would absolutely not clean poop off of this man.
Sounds like Mom might. But yeah, that's also a fair thing. Although it's hard to clean that off of a book.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, okay, some things it is impossible to clean off, but you got to think like, if I could just wipe this and with soapy water and get the poop off and it was pristine again, would I keep it?
That's
a
decent method.
With a book, it's never going to be the same with a book. You cannot wipe poop off a book, really. So you got to, but when you're just thinking of this method, you got to pretend you can. But would you be willing to do it?
That's fair. That is a better way to think of it. And yeah, it sounds like OP really likes this collection. And I just really hate how many times you said poop.
I'm so sorry. I'm really not, though.
It's just, there's an algorithm, Kristie. And it doesn't like certain things.
And I ruin it for us all the time. I'm sorry.
But yeah, don't change who you are for a guy.
And Reddit agrees. They think you need to get rid of this guy.
Am I wrong for refusing to switch shifts after my coworker told management I already agreed?
The audacity of that coworker. No, not the asshole.
I work at a small office where the schedule is annoying, but usually manageable. There are only a few of us on my team, so switching shifts has to be approved ahead of time because one person being out of place messes up the whole day. Our coworker, Megan, has a habit of doing this thing where she decides what works best for her and then acts like everyone else already agreed. A few months ago, she told a manager I would cover her closing task because I didn't mind staying late. I had never said that. Another time, she put my name down for a weekend inventory count because she said I seemed flexible. Again, never asked me.
What? No! Just because I seem flexible doesn't mean I am. And to do it without asking, that is audacity.
I let those go because I didn't want to be difficult, but it has clearly made her bolder.
Yes, that was a mistake. Do not let something like that go. You bring that to management's attention and be like, hey, I did not agree to this. And she's not my manager. She can't just decide for me what days I'm going to work.
There is absolutely that type of coworker that if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile.
You've created a monster. I mean, she was already kind of a monster, but you've made it into a big monster.
You've made it a monster that's now targeted at you. Yesterday, my manager casually mentioned that I'd be working Megan's late shift Friday, and she'd take my earlier one. I was confused and said I had not agreed to that. He looked surprised and said Megan told him we had already worked it out. We had not even talked about it. I messaged her and asked why she told him that. She said she assumed I'd be fine with it because I don't usually have plans after work. I told her that is not the same as agreeing, and I would not be switching. She got angry and said I was embarrassing her in front of management and making her look dishonest.
Okay, I think in that situation, I would have told management, I absolutely did not agree to that, and you need to talk with this coworker about this and handle this situation. Like, I wouldn't have gone to her and be like, why did you do that? I'd make management deal with her.
Yeah, make management manage this situation.
Yeah, that's what they're there for. To manage things.
I said she made herself look dishonest by lying. Now she's acting cold and telling people I ruined her plans over one little shift. A couple coworkers think I should have just switched because I technically could have, but I'm tired of her using fake agreements to get what she wants. Am I wrong for refusing and telling my manager I never agreed?
If those coworkers think you should have just switched with her, they can switch with her. See how they like that?
But they have lives after work.
Well, so do you. You don't do anything after work. How do you know? I could do lots of things after work.
Even if it's not true, OP, you could do lots of things after work. And just say you have plans. I need to sit on the couch, watch Star Wars for the 20th time, and eat an entire pizza by myself.
I mean, you don't tell them those are your plans because then they're like, my plans are more important than your plans. You just say, I have very important plans that I cannot change. And then you go home and watch Star Wars and eat an entire pizza by yourself.
Right. The app just lets you order the pizza ahead of time. I can't just cancel it. That would be rude to the people at the pizza place.
I'm not wasting my money like that, too, because you still got to pay for it. And that Star Wars ain't going to watch itself.
No, it won't. What if something different happens this time? I need to be there to witness it if, somebody else wins the Star War. This got weird.
It did.
Top comment, you're not wrong. If she is embarrassed by her lies and behavior, maybe she should tell the truth and behave like the responsible adult she should be. Another comment, she made herself look dishonest because she is, and she lied multiple times. Who cares what other people think? Don't let her walk over you again. As you already said, letting it go only makes her bolder. This needs to be stopped and addressed.
I would never cover any shift for her ever again, just out of retaliation, because she's taking advantage of you and she's not someone you should be doing any favors for.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just a little bit too spiteful, though.
I mean, this is absolutely a situation where you need to establish a clear boundary, right?
Yes.
Because you cannot just have some acquaintance dictating your schedule. What if you actually have like a doctor's appointment? What if you actually have something important to do? Sounds like OP didn't this time, but people have plans.
It's like the very least the coworker could have done is checked with you, right? At least let you know that she said you were down to do this, right? Like, she told the boss and never told you, and then you were blindsided and like, what? Of course her lies are going to come back and bite her in the butt if not everybody is in on the lie.
I almost feel like when the manager said, Megan said that you two already talked and agreed to this, you should have been like, oh, actually, Megan and I talked and we swapped it back.
Oh, yeah. That would have been good.
It sounds like we can just make up imaginary conversations in this office.
And Megan said she's going to be covering all of my Saturday shifts for the next month.
But still write the checks to me. She said that.
Totally. 100% said that.
You're not wrong, but for the future, you might ask management to do this. People try this shit where I work, and I'm the manager. I tell them I want all requests in my email in advance, and if it's a trade, I want both parties CC'd and in the agreement. If I don't have it in my email, it didn't happen, period.
See, that sounds like a manager who is on top of managing his people.
Somebody replied to that. Manager perspective comments are always refreshing because they immediately cut through the drama with, cool, put it in email. Unless it's a meeting.
This meeting could have been an email.
But that is, like, unanimously Reddit's opinion. You're not wrong. It's crazy that somebody else would just make up a conversation and try to change around your schedule.
Without even letting you know. Like, you just wouldn't have shown up for the shift and then you would have gotten in trouble.
Yeah, what if the manager never came up and told you that the shift change went through?
Too bad for you. You didn't know. And now everybody at work is screwed over because they needed you there and you weren't.
Yeah, this is not how adults behave.
Very irresponsible.
All right, that's our last story for this episode of Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet.
Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button and we'll see you next time.